Welcome everyone to the RTG Baseball Podcast, where we travel down the road to glory 1 week at a time. We're going to break down the week that was in fantasy, check out the leaders in the league, and then pivot to this week's IRL baseball topic, which is actually going to be a fantasy grab bag. It'll become clear in a second. I'm your host and commissioner, Coach Will, and I'm joined tonight by your resident Red Sox fan and serial third place finisher, Coach Andrew.
Howdy, Will.
Howdy. But it's not just him, for we welcome back a co-host that we had a couple episodes ago. Please welcome back Coach Show.
Back, baby.
Can't believe I invited you back, but here we are. And it's not just them two. For the first time ever, we got a 4-person crew because joining us from an entirely different fantasy league, please welcome Kevin.
It's a pleasure to be here, Will, and I would say it's shocking you actually allowed me on this podcast, but I will appreciate that. This will probably be the last time I'll be on here based on previous track record. Great to be here.
You know, I want to just cut in here and preface this by saying it feels wrong to be introduced by the two losers, of this league.
Kevin,
losing
you're
to
worried
the
about
O.
being invited back, and yet we let this clown come back. So I think
So I
you
feel
might
like
be okay.
the people that haven't lost to Rachel should be introducing the people that have. But here
Sure,
we
you
are.
have plenty of losses to Rachel in your past. We can dig them up.
I can see how this is going to go. It's going to be entertaining for me.
Well, you got to understand the context. I owned up to this last episode, so as the GM of the Pop and Soda Cans organization, we had a terrible, embarrassing loss last week to the 0-8
AIDS.
team, Rachel's team, and we made a statement. We opened our heart last episode, so now it is Andrew's turn. So the floor is yours. Please address all of the Scott's Tots fans.
Uh,
What
Yeah.
fans?
yeah, 3 of my pitchers, I think they died actually, and
R.I.P.
Brandon fought with the bed. And the baseball gods are fickle and cruel, and for whatever reason they support Rachel's team at the worst possible times.
Who are the other two pitchers?
I just hear excuses, dude. I mean, I think Rachel's is better than you.
One of my pitchers broke his elbow, I think it was.
Wait,
And
Corbin Burns?
no.
No.
AJ Smith Shaver. I don't even know.
Oh, I love AJ Smith Shaver.
Yeah, so he's out for the season. And then
Nice.
Nathan Evaldi, triceps out until at least June 13th. And Justin Slayton, he's also expected to be out until at least June 13th. So 3 ILs plus minus 33 points from Brandon Fott out of nowhere. So that was kind of rude.
Well, it was interesting that, right? So Fott wasn't the only one who blew up. Will Warren, who's a popular ad, who I have in my other league, he got lit up by the Dodgers. So it's not like it was just Fott, but they were like another, I can't remember who it was. Maybe Will or Show could pop in there. Who was the other guy? It was some other guy who absolutely imploded.
There's like 3 double-digit scores like all that night or day, I think, on Saturday. It was disastrous.
Your Yankees, right?
I tuned out when it's already a West Coast game and we're down by like 10. I was like, damn, I mean, this is.
Hey, Judge hit two home runs that game, though, so I'll take it.
He hit 2 home runs that I didn't even see, but afterwards, just like, well, that's nice. You know who we didn't hit a home run off of though? We didn't hit anything off of Kike Hernandez. We couldn't hit off the position player. Disaster.
I don't think he's given up a
Meanwhile-
single run this year. He has like 3 innings he's pitched. All clean.
Oh, you know?
What an athlete.
I know, for real.
To be an above mediocre hitter and to pitch without giving up any runs is incredible. He's like
He's pretty much Shohei.
He's like a weak man's Joey Ohtani.
Shohei at home.
I mean, who has more innings, Kike Hernandez or Shohei Ohtani this year? Answer is
That's
clear.
true.
No,
That's
good
true.
point. Good
That's a
point.
good point. That's a good point.
These are facts.
They are, shockingly.
So Andrew, though, your team here, we gotta spend more time on this disaster of performance.
Do we have to?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at your the rotation you started. At least you started Tyler Anderson, Nathan Eovaldi, Jack Flaherty, Brandon Pfaadt, AJ Smith-Shawver, and Jamison Tyone. You know, just reading the name, that doesn't scream ace rotation. Are you concerned about your
Put some
starting
respect on Nathan Eovaldi's name.
I mean, you just tossed him aside for being injured, so
Well, it's not my fault. I didn't break
I mean,
his
you could have believed him
arm or
more.
tricep or whatever the hell it was. And you know, what Fott did was frankly disrespectful. Minus 33 points. He should know better.
Say better defense, bro.
Do you remember consciously choosing to not start Kevin Gossman in his 2-start week? Or is it just, things happen?
Well, I may or may not have been traveling abroad, and that detail may or may not have slipped through. And
Or he's in a spot fog.
Well, I promise I'm bringing it up not totally to make fun of you, but a couple episodes ago we were talking about the manager breakdown on CBS where it tries to rank the best game time decision managers in the league, and this is exactly the type of thing that hurts you in that. So it's gonna look at minus 33 for Fott and compare it to the 68 points from Gosman, and in fact, I bet you are.
yeah,
hurting
but
in
the
that stat.
projections have putting up minus 33.
Oh, did they?
No, did they? Because I don't think they do that.
Oh, okay.
So.
Let me see.
What's Andrew's record right now in the league?
Kevin, before you hear that piece of information, I'd like to inform you that I have the 3rd worst points against in this league. So,
Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
well,
Shut up. You're barely above me, please.
while others might have easier paths on the road to glory, my team is roughing it out there. So I just want that to be known.
Okay, duly noted.
And just since that question wasn't answered, he is 3-7 right now.
Oh,
everyone's aware.
And Will, how many games behind the final playoff spot am I?
Well, and that's a fair counter. So in this league of 12, there are 7 playoff spots with number 6 and number 7 fighting it off in a pseudo 1-game playoff. So the number 7 team currently is sitting at 4-6. So at the moment, you are only 1 game out of a playoff spot.
By some miracle.
I don't know. It's a count for 2 if you lose to Rachel, in my opinion. But
who are you facing
that
this week,
being said,
wait, so Rachel was 0-8 going into that week? Or 0-9?
0-8 against the Will, and then 1-8 against Drew.
Yeah, it was
wow.
But
funny enough, she's playing me this week, so we'll see. I'm gonna talk a lot of shit, but I get burned every time I play Rachel.
So how's Spencer Strider doing right now?
I'm not looking.
Bad.
He is. I can relate to Strider. He is not doing well.
Fuck.
He is not doing well.
Show is 5 earned runs good?
Long-term hopes.
Is that a quality start show? Is 5 earned runs good enough for?
You gave him 5 fucking. Oh my god.
Is that
I
a
guess he
quality?
shows not paying
I'm
much
gonna
attention.
drop his ass.
Oh, he's got 2 starts this week too. Oh, that would be a
He does have
shame.
2 starts.
That would be a shame.
That's why I put him in.
If he had 2 bad starts, that would be really unfortunate.
Quite the shame.
Negative 65.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
I'd hate to see that. I really would.
I don't know if I get another Dylan Bundy start, I'm gonna like numbers.
So if you lose to Rachel,
I won't.
I
won't.
was
It's
the
not
only
gonna
one not
happen.
to lose to Rachel on this
I mean,
podcast.
yeah. I mean, at that point, it's the curse of the pod.
The best move is not to play.
uh, uh, just Kevin, since we have you here and you have an outside perspective, are are you a big proponent of the 2-star week? Are you hunting 2-star pitchers every week, or are you more trusting like your squad that you
So
control?
it's funny you say that, Will, because my original thought process. I mean, so right from your league to mine, I'm sure there are different rules. The way our league works, and I guess ours means yours and mine now, right? It's a dynasty league, so you keep everyone year to year. My approach for the first 7 years of the league was don't bother using my 3 moves a week to get 2-star pitchers. I just would try to stack up my hitting and get the best hitters and go through prospects and eventually develop those per se. This year I finally said, you know what? I have to make sure that I'm not make sure, but my uncle, as you know, is king of the league. He's won 3 years in a row. And I let him off the hook too much, so I'm streaming a lot of pitchers to get that number 1 seed, so I can avoid the first round play in. And you get a first round bye if you're the first and second overall seeds. So this year I have definitely used the 2-star pitching, and for me, if you look, it's no pitcher is safe from injury or complete cherry bombs where they just blow up. So my view is you have a much higher probability of having a higher point total with 2 starts, even if it's a mediocre pitcher over an elite pitcher with 1 start, just because you have 2 chances of having a good game as opposed to 1.
Understood, understood. And I think ultimately people are on the side of go with the 2-star pitcher in Road to Glory as well. At least visually, it sometimes is more stressful because we have a much wider spread of points. Like probably like you just heard about Brandon Pfaadt, so that's a -33. But like an
Right.
amazing start could be a +50, like a single start. So like ultimately the math I guess is the same because whatever
Yeah,
that's
the math
even if
the
it
math is the same, but it definitely I think there's a lot more. I think there's probably still even more downside though, right? Because it's you're going to the negative scale, and yours in my league, you can't go negative, right? So, well, not easily. It's really hard to go negative. It's definitely not. I don't think it's really like I think the worst I've seen, like Will Warren, he only had -9 points. If he had a really good start, he would have had 30, right? Versus like right. So it's a little bit of a different point spread, but you're right. Overall, it's probably not that much difference.
yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I like the 2-star pitchers, but your draft strategy kind of, well, sabotages you. You can think of it that way, or helps you. Like if we talked about Coach Nick's team in this league, and we'll take a look at his team again right here. He has built such a good starting rotation. He probably does not stream every week, mainly because he would feel bad not starting one of his aces even in a single start week.
Yeah, I think for my draft strategy, if I were in a keeper league, I would punt on pitchers all the time. And I understand that you go, oh well, you don't have those elite starters, but it just seems so volatile, these pitchers. I would not spend high draft capital on elite pitchers. Um, Personally, just because I don't trust pitching. I've gotten to the point where, and this is maybe a hot take, but these teams baby these pitchers so much, and they don't pitch deep into games anymore. Um, I think the only guys that I quote trust is like Logan Webb, for instance, right? Because he's an innings eater, right? It's nice to know he's going to pitch a long time into the game, but most of these guys they don't last very long anymore.
I think you're still scarred from giving up Corbin Carroll for Walker Buehler.
It never
Kevin.
was that trade.
Uh, do
You're
tell,
wrong.
because that is an
You're
eyebrow
wrong.
raiser when I hear
Hey,
that.
no. So what was the fucking trade there? It was something along those lines.
It was Manny Machado for Corbin Carroll.
Okay, but you were raving about Walker Buehler for years, and that
I
man is
eventually, I
officially
eventually
cooked.
dropped Walker Bueller. No, wait, no, I take it back. I did trade him. I don't remember what I
Yeah,
got back
fuck
for him.
you. Yeah, suck my dick. What are you talking about?
You were right that Walker Bueller, and that is okay. Here's a better example. Ready for this, Will? You'll appreciate this more. I think Andrew will. I don't know what show's talking about, but there was there was a time in which this is bad. I had traded. I think it was. So these were the guys involved. Okay, I traded Hunter Brown. This was about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years. No, yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. I think now. I traded along these lines in 2 different trades. Hunter Brown, Pete Crow Armstrong, I think it was Brady Singer, and there was another couple of guys, prospects, who actually didn't end up doing too much, but those three essentially. And I got Alec Manoa, because he had just had he was just starting to be bad. I thought, oh, he'll come back. And my favorite, Julio Urias.
Oof, oof,
Yeah.
Is right.
oof.
If Julio could
Man,
just keep his
Brady-
hands off other people, women,
Just
it's gonna
Brady
be
Singer
different.
for those two would have been a wild win for you.
Was Wander Franco not
Pretty
great?
pitiful.
Or?
That's pretty bad.
That and look how well Hunter Brown's been. Right now, my view was at the time I'm in win now, and Hunter Brown was up and coming, but he wasn't what he is now.
Agreed.
So cautionary tale, right? I mean, look at Manoa. There's something psychological about a lot of these guys. If you see a guy imploding, it's like, oh boy, they
No,
might not bounce back.
Manoa's problem was that he was 300 fucking pounds.
You
That's
call
his
him
fucking
Manoa?
issue.
But he was also a bit of a head case, I think.
He seemed to be. Well, didn't he like try to blow on the ball to blow it out of bounds? I mean, into foul territory. Or am I mistaken? Was that him?
Was that Manoa? I don't think so.
I don't
But
recall him doing that, but it is
Someone can look that up.
possible.
Don't look that up.
I mean, he was
I mean-
usually yelling.
I know Puig licked his bat.
I think it was him. Hold on.
I feel like so much of the game is psychological and
Here we
mental.
go.
Like,
You ready for this? I'm going to read this to you. That's when Manoa decided to, quote, encourage the ball. With Matt Chapman dancing up the line on the other side of the ball, Manoa dropped into a deep crouch, nearly on all fours, and tried to blow the ball over the foul line.
hey, that's a good ball, man. That's a heads-up play.
That's stupid.
Hey, did it work? Did it work though?
it sounded like it was a
It
head
went
down.
foul.
Obviously,
Sounded like it was a head
it's a
down
heads-up
play.
Because that was when that was when he was really on his way out, right? He was like in his deep decline.
Is he
But
still
I
in the
think-
league or not?
Yeah, I
He's
think-
allegedly rehabbing right now for the Blue Jays.
Oh,
Right.
really?
yeah. Just in case
could-
he has some.
Yeah,
He could come back.
rehabbing maybe with Masataka Yoshida in the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, what happened to that fucker? He's my boy.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox hate him for no discernible reason. It makes no sense.
Well, do you remember who was the Yankees? Oh, who was the Yankees pitcher? Help me out.
Who
Which
did?
one? There's a lot of them.
There's a couple.
The Japanese pitcher. What's the Japanese pitcher's
Tanaka?
name?
Tanaka.
Was it? Yes, it was
Masahiro-
Masahiro Tanaka. Yes. Look at him.
He's in
right?
Japan, right?
Like, Yes.
Yeah,
he
he's
had
He's
going
to
to
like, I
fall
had
off a
enough of your
cliff.
shit. I'm going to Japan.
Well, no, he did. He actually wasn't up with the shit. He went to Florida, and apparently someone's racist against his family. So he's like, "Fuck this, I'm going to Japan." I don't
Yeah.
blame him. I do
Yeah.
the same shit.
You still haven't.
What?
I said you still haven't, show.
well,
He's
well,
at his
fair
limit.
Well, he hasn't gone to
think-
Florida
think
lately. Or
I'd face more racism in Japan than I would here, actually, which is
That
surprising.
might actually be true. Shockingly enough. They're an American jackass, right?
That's
what
pretty
the
much what
mentality-
that's pretty much what they would say.
yeah,
I'm too fucking loud.
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's the story of show's life. Anyway, okay, so are we gonna roast Andrew anymore? Is that the plan?
We're not done
Final,
yet. We-
final words. Anything else you have to get off your chest against Coach Andrew?
Personally, I have no vendetta against Andrew in this league. Or as a person, really. Show's the one who probably wants to get something off his chest.
I don't know.
I
I
think
just want Rachel here so she can brag. but
Show's just
it is what
upset
it is.
about whatever's going on with Juan Soto right now.
Show's
No,
being
he's
careful not to
he's
incriminate himself before Rachel plays against him.
you know what's
That's the
fucking
key.
hilarious? My record against Rachel is like 1 in like 12. I don't know how, but she just somehow beats me every fucking year.
I'm telling you, the
Mind
baseball
you,
guys, like, they time it. They're like,
right? Rachel
I'm
has
gonna
not
get him.
changed her lineup since week 1. She had a guy. Profar was in her starting lineup, suspended for half the year until like last week, I think.
Yeah, it
Right?
was a couple weeks ago, and I know because I mistakenly told her that.
You idiot!
Well, then
uh,
you deserve your fate. I never,
You idiot!
yeah.
You're
as the
fucking all of us.
commissioner, I remind all people it is not your responsibility to play for other people. So if they make mistakes, let them die by their own sword.
I agree with that mentality.
Um,
That's what we've been doing for years in our league.
now,
Yeah.
see, normally we transition to doing the same thing to Show, but actually, Show, you've been on a bit of a roll just overall right
Hell
now.
yeah, baby!
Even by power
Robert Flores
ranking,
saved
you're
my
right there.
ass last week.
Yeah. So do you? I guess I'll open this to all of you. During the week, do you keep tabs on your team, or you just not want to know until Sunday, and then you'll like look at scores?
Every morning I look at my score and I'm like, oh, okay, well, like tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and say, oh, Strider fucking sucks. But then Sunday is when I get nervous and I check all the time. That's probably about it.
Yeah, I'd say I don't necessarily check every day, but like I'll keep tabs and then see how the score is going relative to the projections, and then if it veers off dramatically from that, I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Like
I
who's
presume you guys
responsible for
can make
this?
moves. I presume you guys can make moves in the middle of the week in your league. I presume.
Only waiver pickups. You can't change your lineup.
It's a weekly lineup league.
Right. Okay. So same as ours. I check daily, mostly because with Dynasty, at least with prospects, I'm just curious, right, to see how younger guys on my team are doing for the years to come. So I'm very future oriented. I'd probably look
I,
daily.
I would love that, but our app doesn't tell us how minor league stats. So
Yeah, but not as mine.
Are you talking your minor leaguers
doesn't
that are
call the
in the
internet.
minors, or the minor like you talking Christian Campbell, people who are already in the major leagues?
it doesn't count anymore. But
Well, for me, I check both, right? I check guys in the minors, and I check guys who would just come up from the minors to the majors as well. But and obviously in your league, right? So like obviously that Jack Caglianone, right, who just came up. You guys, I'm sure, have at least heard
You
of
got
him
on the
now
Royals?
of course,
Yes.
on the
he was
Royals.
he was a Shohei before they told him he can't pitch anymore.
Yes, and obviously he's someone that should be on all your guys' radar, I'm sure, if he's not already picked up.
Yeah, he's got it picked up.
I figured as much. But like those sort of guys, right? Obviously, you would see those sort of guys. And Will's in my league, I mean, and Will can vouch. I'm sure he's seen, right? I've got guys who are 18, right? Guys who are. I have a guy who's just in the I think in his rookie ball actually, right? So it's a very different game that we're playing than your league.
Yeah, we're very new to the caring about minor leaguers world. We just last 2024 season we had a minors slot for the first time, and this year we have 2 minor slot, and it'll go up every year as we ease ourselves into it.
You doubled.
Indeed. So already there's some dividends. So the reward for being the best of the failures last year, the consolation bracket, was being able to draft and participate in the minor league draft, whereas everybody else has to use the regular draft to get their minor leaguers. So I think who was drafted? Roman Anthony was drafted. I think. Did you get Dylan Cruz show? Was that who you
Well,
drafted?
I already had him as the keeper.
That's right. You had him on your squad already.
Right.
That's
I've
right.
grabbed Anthony though.
Christian Campbell was another one who worked out for a month, but lately has not at all been working out.
He has been bad this month.
He hasn't hit the ball in a fucking month.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely,
You cried
minors.
a little bit inside.
Yeah.
But and this doesn't affect show. Well, maybe it does. I want to speak for show. But some of our teams, this has come up in previous episodes, we've drafted in a way that filled up our utility. So usually that means Ohtani. But like on my team, I have both Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman, and I only have one utility. So I am not the only reason to pick up someone a top first baseman prospect is if I'm going to hold them for a trade, because otherwise I can't start them unless I'm going to unless I'm going to pick them up now with the intention of keeping them. But that's risky. I don't know. That's tough.
Is that a wasted spot? Like, I guess my question is, how many keepers do you have every year?
You can have up to 7 keepers, and it depends on where they were drafted last round and where you can keep them. And the latest you can draft anybody is round 7. So like in my hypothetical, if I kept someone who was just called up and therefore was not drafted by anybody, he has to be my round 7 keeper.
Ah, I see. Okay, right. I
And
could see where there wouldn't be as much incentive then.
yeah. But that's also draft roster construction. Like maybe I should have planned ahead and not just taken best available player. But then again, I mean, those 2 players are raking for me, so I'm not upset about it necessarily.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. A lot. I just noticed it because there's been a lot of first base eligible people that have showed up.
There have, between Nick Kurtz and Jack Caglianone, and I think there's another guy I can't think of off the top of my head. But you're right. Typically a
The
lot
guy from
more than
Seattle.
normal.
Cole Ryan, guy, whatever his name is.
Well, they just called up Young, who's middle
Cole
infield.
Young.
But yeah, so show you just beat Eric. Very close battle. I believe you are right that you needed those save at the end.
Yep. My
to-
man
to get the
Suarez
job.
had. No, actually,
And-
technically, I didn't beat him, but I would have been up by like 2 points. So it's nice to have that
Ooh,
buffer.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's actually the worst feeling. Like this. So on the one hand, this is where having an actual relief pitcher in the relief pitcher slot can help, because they can help you any of the 7 days, and when they do, a save or a hold is gonna like ultimately get you 20 points, probably.
Jesus.
But it's gotta be
Christ.
nerve-wracking. If they blow that save,
Yeah,
then
like
Oh, fuck.
Brandon
days
Francis
ruined.
did apparently minus 35 points.
Well,
As a
so
reliever,
Gordon Francis,
holy shit.
1.2
probably
innings.
he probably started.
1.2 innings.
There goes our
6 earned
G
runs.
rating.
Jeez.
Are you seeing a GS next to like in all those stats on his line?
Yeah, so he started.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
That
it's
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, 1.2 innings, 6 earned runs. Gosh.
And that's the
Nothing
risk.
still
I
beats
think
that
show.
infamous. What's that?
I think you stated before, like you really prefer true relievers in your relief slots, right?
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, it depends on who I have, right? I have 3 pretty good closers, and so I'll take that risk because they're going most of the time they're not gonna blow the save. If I didn't have that, then I'll probably put a starter in maybe, but I don't have that problem right now, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I just feel like
Luke
like
Weaver
as long as you're confident in your searching ability, you can find a reliable reliever. I mean, if you
Agreed.
want the best, I guess the best of the best are picked up, but I don't know. Free advice right now. Luke Weaver just got hurt.
Yeah,
So
yeah, today. Great.
All Devin Williams.
well,
I've
see if you were
had-
following the news. I mean, like
Yeah.
I knew about it on Sunday because Aaron Boone talked about it.
Mm. I heard his press conferences were a waste of time.
Well, okay, touche. But so whomever they pick, they might pick Devin Williams, let's say, as the closer. So now somebody else is just suddenly going to become their setup man. That person is probably a quality reliever then. Like if you get a hold and the scoreless inning, that's just about as good as a save in a scoreless inning. So they're out there. But I mean, if you pick them for a bad team, like you pick the Rockies setup man, that's not going to work out great for you.
Because he's shaking his boots. Goes, I got a 5-run lead. This can't go well.
Well, you never get the save then, but yeah.
Kevin, in the very first or second episode of this podcast, the Rockies were 5 games back at the division, not looking great. The second week of the season, and Andrew threw out a flippant comment like, "Oh, I bet they're just never gonna be out of last place in the National League ever again." And I'm like, "No, surely not."
It was
And then
it was not a flipping. I knew.
okay, fair enough. And so in fact, I said the words like, "Nah, they're not gonna be." In fact, I guarantee you, at some point in the season, they will at least not be last in the National League. They will not be 15 out of 15, and that's been something I've been the most wrong about in years. This is disastrous. Disastrous take.
Could not be more wrong.
It's and it's funny, right? Like you look at
It's not close.
well, what's
Bro,
pitiful?
10 and 50, bro. 10 and 50. It's insane.
With their head, they're up 3-2. Get the setup man.
That'll be wild.
No, but right, there are certain teams, and I don't know if you guys have these rules in your mind. There are certain teams I go, I don't want a player on that team. I don't want a player on that team. And that's like the Angels, I have that rule on. It's become the Rockies. Because I had Brendan Rodgers at one point. I thought, oh, Rodgers could be so great, and he was pitiful. And they do not know how to develop talent. The Rockies, the Angels, I've soured heavily on the White Sox. The Athletics are finally coming around more, but that was always a team for the longest time. I don't know if you guys ever think about that, because for me, it's where's the run production going to happen, right? Where are the RBIs going to happen? Even if they're a really good hitter, that lineup protection is a real thing.
Does your league do RBIs?
Yes. But we don't.
Well-
Okay, let's back up. We're in the points league. You guys have a categories league, I presume.
No, we're points.
This is the
Okay, never
point.
mind. Yeah, never mind.
it's-
I don't
we're-
like-
We're a little more forgiving, so I won't get into the details, but WOBA drives your points, your batter's points, and FIP drives your pitcher's points. So, for example, as a pitcher, allowing a home run is devastating. Even a solo home run is devastating because FIP cares about home runs. And then for hitters, literally, you could probably sort by weighted runs created, since that's related to WOBA, and you would get the leaders and total points and for hitters.
It's a little more watered down then. I gotcha. Because I just there's certain teams I can't stand.
Like on Andrew's team, I believe you have the potential rookie of the year right now, Jacob Wilson, and that he's on the let me make sure I'm not wrong about that.
On the Athletics.
I know James was looking pretty good, but wait,
He's
never
not.
mind.
He's not a rookie though.
I thought he was. I thought he was.
I have to see if he
was.
Does he meet MLB's criteria for rookies? Maybe.
I don't think so.
The only reason I know more about Wilson is because I sometimes listen to Red Sox content so I can laugh at them. And one reason Jacob Wilson's names come up is because Andrew, you may be included in this, maybe not. It seems that Red Sox fans are concerned that the Red Sox front office is concerned that if they call up Roman Anthony, he might win Rookie of the Year. But then the counter to that is that, well, he won't win it because Jacob Wilson is doing awesome.
Yeah, and that's a frequent topic of discussion on the Baseball's Dead podcast because you've got Carabas and Dallas Braden. So
Jacob Wilson has a 355 average?
yeah,
You betcha.
Oh my God. Hey, Will, guess whose team he's on?
Well, let's let be known that I turned around this. Let's just say the previous administration, what they left me with, we have currently turned around 5-game winning streak. Spirits are high. Wins over you and win like over your uncle so far.
true.
We are flying high. We'll see if we can keep it up.
Thanks for bringing up that memory. Go on. Okay.
Now,
Continue.
but
Move on. Other subject.
fair enough. I guess maybe the last just around the league right now is to take a look at the current power rankings. As a reminder, if you're looking for this on the website, you would go to the league page, standings, and then one of the options there is power ranking. So we talked about Show and Nick already. They're actually numbers 1 and 2, and then Eric, and then Brian. This is one of the strange ones. So Coach Brian right now, not a good record at all, but he is in the number 4 spot in power ranking. It's trying to take your record and then your total points and then your record against everybody else all year long. That's the breakdown column to come to this. How much weight are both of you putting in? So total points and this record against everybody else. Are you believers of that, or are there other factors you're going to look at before either of those?
Well, I'll throw on a stat that might back some of this up. If you again sort by my favorite points against column, it looks like Brian is number 2. Um, so that could certainly support some bad luck running into uh, good opponents, or at the very least opponents on hot streaks.
But how actionable is that? Like we've talked about points against a lot, and you and Show are arguing about who has more points against them, who's more unlucky than the other.
I
But all right,
I look at it.
if I agree that you're unlucky, what are you gonna do about it?
I look at it like sort of in a similar way as how I would look at like run differential. It's not perfect, um, but it's just more of like an indicator to me. Like, are you probably getting lucky? Are you probably getting unlucky? And like because like the flip side, I think would be true too. If you're like Nate is 7-3, but he has the easiest points against. I would not be, you know, kicking my feet up if I were him. I'd, you know, maybe think about making moves if that was the reason why, I had such a good record.
Makes sense.
All
Actually,
right. Well,
Nick and Nate are 8 and 2 and 7 and 3, and 1 and 2 in points against. So that, like, as in the fewest points against. So that is interesting. Go ahead, Show.
so I will say with that Nick actually has a decent points for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's what, number 2 behind me? So there's that. But
Yeah. So that means it could very well be um, sustainable. But I mean, those are like the first level stats that I would look at to say, like, uh, is this real? Is this sustainable? Or am I just getting super lucky or unlucky?
Understood. So before we transition to our IRL baseball segment, just going down the standings, we've got Nick. Actually, but quick quirk that I don't know if anyone of you guys noticed this. If you go to the standings page, like, and just read off, but it's like today we're in the middle of the week. The points for is counting now. So your record
Oh.
hasn't changed, but it's
Oh, no
counted
shit.
your points forward. So there's a drop down for period, and you'll see it's on period 10 right now. So if I want to talk about the standings up to date, not including right now, I need to switch it to period 9, and then I get the results as of end of last matchup. So just a little quirk. Every now and then it'll break ties and make ties look different than they actually are. So that's those standings from end of last week were Nick, Joe, Nate, myself, Eric, Phil, Brian, the defending champion, Matab, who he's turned it around a little, but still concerns. We'll see. Then Jamie, then you, Andrew, then Viraj, and then, despite our 2-game winning streak, Coach Rachel. But all right. So since we got such a big panel here today, I just think we'll go just for IRL baseball, just a grab bag of topics. So our newest guest, Kevin, is there anything that's just been on your mind lately that you want to chat about?
Would it be fantasy related or can it be baseball related in general?
It actually should be IRL baseball related.
That's in real life for all the boomers out there.
Yes, I
AKA
just
Kevin.
as a boomer myself.
Yeah.
I feel like a boomer.
You're a boomer at
and-
heart, Kevin.
and I've always been a boomer at heart. Can I go with like past? Like, can I go with like events that happened in the past that have now
Tell us-
trickled down to the future?
Tell us what's on
current?
your mind right now, Kevin. What's
Yeah,
your
the
burning
floor is
you want to talk
yours.
about?
So many things. I would say Pete Rose being inducted to the Hall of Fame.
You were? I mean,
Manfred's
I
a bitch. Well, he's not
I
officially
think-
inducted, but
I know. I'm saying that because I think that he will be inducted in the future, and I'm curious of what everyone's thoughts are on should he have been
Fuck no.
reinstated to be able to get in the Hall of Fame, or should he have not? And will he get in the Hall of Fame?
fuck no. They're
To
only
which
doing
part?
this because that he should be. They're only doing this because Trump's telling Manfred to. That's really all it is.
Really? Oh, I didn't think it'd go this much politics.
Oh yeah,
well,
Interesting.
fuck Manfred.
Rob Manfred has been like my least enjoyed commissioner, like by a big margin. Like he has squashed Bud Selig in my I don't like you meter. So
Granted,
So
we're
this-
dealing
this-
with an N equals 2 here.
I mean, sure, but that's still the facts
So
are
for
still
the
accurate.
non-boomers, at least. I can't speak for
Boomer's like, yeah, right. That guy from back in 1972 was another old bastard.
But Rob
What was life before the
Manfred's
steroid era?
yeah, what was that? Rob Manfred claims that actually the bands were never meant to be after you're dead. So I'm gonna make the but that's not quite true because what he did is he changed the rule to be that if you die, then you are no longer banned. So by definition, that's not what the rule is for because you had to change it to be that.
Okay, now I gotta pick at this though. I'm gonna pick at show. So,
All right.
do you hate Pete Rose as a person?
I mean, I hate what he did. You can't,
Okay,
but
you hate what he did. No, I'm curious. You hate what he did. So I guess So I guess where I'm getting at is besides the politics of how he's been quote reinstated. In your view, you still think Pete Rose is a good person in general, and what he did was bad.
Did he also try to go with a 14-year-old? There's also that, but that's besides the point,
And
right?
wasn't his
It's not about-
excuse like it was a long time ago?
Well, I'm gonna go straight out baseball, right? Not even, his other shit, right? But point is, dude, you don't do this shit because Trump asked you to. You know what I mean? Like that's the point. I guess to me, that's bullshit.
Is
Just-
that
just-
factual?
just
See, I didn't
because
even know
you
that-
have-
I didn't know
Yeah,
that
he
was
was-
a fact. Is that factual or is that just hearsay? I guess my question.
I think
Nah,
it's
he was
more
bitching.
than
Trump was bitching.
it's a little more than hearsay.
So if it was Andrew that told Rob Manfred to do it, are you in agreement? I guess What would you like?
If
If you're
if
the
there's
commissioner, what should the rule be for people who die?
you don't follow the political pressure. That's bullshit. Like
Well, in the
you know how they try to
Okay, that's okay. Fine, that's fine. But
take
take
away Wait, hold
so
up.
take
Remember,
okay.
like early this season on Roberto Clemente, they took out the sign for Roberto Clemente, right? Because of the old
I
DEI shit.
guess.
Like that's bitch shit. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Or
And
they're
then
what?
trying to hide Jackie Robinson
some
shit too.
the Pirates put out some apology, like, "Oh, it was we didn't realize or we didn't mean to,
Right.
blah blah blah." But
Like, come on. Or like how they're like erasing like Jackie Robinson's history. Like, that's all bitch shit.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nonsense. I agree with that. But
Right.
get back to what I'm asking though is separate politics out of it. Separate politics out of it and just say, okay, was it as bad as a gamble on baseball? How big of a deal do you think that is?
That's huge, dude. You can't gamble on sports, man. Unless you're a player. I mean,
Even
Like, take-
even if you're
I-
betting for your own
I
team.
think the key,
yeah, I agree.
the
It's a
key
slippery slope.
here is if the rules clearly state that you can't, and he's well aware of the rules, and he does it anyways. That to me is the problem, and I believe it's still hypocritical of the league, especially given how deep they're into
Steroids.
gambling these days. They're making a ton of money off of it, which is a whole
Oh,
other
that's fair.
topic of discussion. But Pete knew it was wrong, and he did it anyways, and he never showed any remorse for that. And I personally think that's I think that's wrong. It's like steroids.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you did steroids before they were banned, there wasn't a rule. And, why would you be punished for breaking a rule that doesn't exist? But now that there is the rule, you can't do steroids, the rule. And the consequences for breaking the rule. So I don't have any.
Says the Patriots fan.
All right.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there, Andrew. I knew that was weird, but
I mean, you're a fake Bills fan, so can't really talk. But fair enough.
yeah, whatever. So anyway, so Will, I want to hear your opinion. Then I'll give you what my opinions have been.
It definitely feels like there's a separation in cheating and whatever you think betting on baseball is. Like, those do feel like different types of offense. Even if you're gonna punish someone for both of those, it's almost because I was about to ask you to compare Pete Rose to Barry Bonds to Alex Bregman for being on the Astros. Like, all of them have done infractions against the game, but two of them are like cheating, whereas Pete Rose it just feels different. And I'm grappling with what is. I do think the gambling is like you are endangering the entire the sport very quickly. Like, if you're cheating to give yourself an advantage, you're damaging the sport, but like in a slower way. Like,
You're
like
still
for
trying
the
to win. You know what I mean? Yeah.
like for the
Like-
for the Astros trash cans. Like, in a hypothetical world, we don't find out about it, but a couple teams do. But instead of going sneaking in reports to the Athletic or anything, those teams also do it, and we find out well, there were 7 teams using trash bags, and for 10 years those 7 teams were in the playoffs. Like, that would be devastating, but it takes that long to happen. I feel like it takes one Black Sox scandal to happen, and the entire sport almost comes down.
Right.
I
agree.
So betting on baseball feels egregious, and I think he should have been banned. It feels weird to end him being banned. Just sticking with what Manfred said, after you die, you shouldn't need to be banned anymore. I don't know. Obviously, I mean, I guess having it be forever, it just feels like in 50 years, we won't talk about it anymore because he's not banned. So there's no need to be well, he was George Steinbrenner was banned at one point for 3 years and he came back, but we don't talk about that anymore. I feel like once you are reinstated, very easily wipes away your infraction. So I don't think he should have been unbanned.
All right, Kevin, what do
So-
you think?
So I wavered. Okay, so I did not so my history of knowing what Pete Rose had done was I knew that he bet on baseball, I knew that he had bet as a manager of the player, and it was for his team. In other words, he was betting on his team to win, right? And my view was that if he's betting for his team, not what does it matter, but he really is trying to win, right? Isn't that what all of sports is to some degree? Now,
Didn't he shave points too? I thought he shaved points.
I don't think so. Maybe he did, but even then, it still is. Well, if that's the case, and maybe that would change my mind, right? But that was my original thought: is well, it's bad, and yes, it's very clear in baseball's Bible, right, not to do that, right? The Black Sox scandal was a very different thing, though, right? That was a hey, we're throwing this game to lose, right? That is, I think that's inherently different than betting for your team versus betting against your team, right? Those are, to me, very different things. So I thought at first, well, yeah, it's bad what Pete Rose did, but I thought he should have been in the Hall of Fame before he died. I think it's crazy to me that all of a sudden, now that he died, now we're going to reinstate him. That seems outrageous.
It's a bitch move. It's a bitch move.
Well, right. It doesn't, and really, like, what does it matter? I shouldn't say what does it matter, but Pete Rose is not going to know about it. I mean, I guess, right? Besides the religion behind it, right? It's not like Pete Rose is here to enjoy that.
But and
right?
if you do that here, then it's like, well, what about the next person who gets a lifetime ban? Are they going to be like, well, it's just for this, and then when I die, I'm in the clear?
Right. That opens that
Forever
can of worms too,
immortalized.
right? And I agree and I think that I probably resonated most with Will, because I think Will pointed out something very unique, is that those three scandals you're talking about are all very different things. They're all in different categories. And what's painful for me with the steroids era, and this is, I'm sure, a very questionable topic, but is that guys like Barry Bonds, if he hadn't used steroids, he still would have been I think, one of the top 5 hitters of all time.
Yeah, he was already on
very likely.
the path to Hall of Fame.
Because he was already getting 30, 40 seasons.
You can give me all the muscles you want. I'm not hitting the 95 mile an hour fastball. I'm just not.
Right.
I'm
You
not-
still got to make contact with the ball.
That's
still
not
gotta
my
make
skill set.
contact.
It's, and
Right.
Barry was supremely talented.
Yes. And as a result, not that I feel bad for them, but it's a shame that sort of talent, those sort of guys, like, I mean, Roger Clemens was obviously elite too, right? But how come, and I know, and this is not to be a poke to Andrew, right? But there was talks of David Ortiz having used steroids, right? What happened there? How come Manny Ramirez got in trouble and David Ortiz didn't?
And that's a whole other.
And that's a whole other thing, right? And I get that. But that's my counter, is that, well, if you're going to apply this rule to some people, not to some other people, right? Why? And I think that with the whole sign stealing scandal, that's a whole other thing. There are many teams that did that. And the Astros, just because they won the World Series, they got penalized, right? So they're all very different things.
They didn't set up video screens, though. Only the Astros did that at that.
Yeah.
I thought they were the only
Astros
teams that actually
are
set
the
up.
only one that took it to that. They did both. They used used cameras that other teams, like, they had that video camera in the tunnel, or that was the monitor, combined with the cameras, combined with having somebody make noise loud enough to hear at the plate, that they were the only ones doing it.
Right.
But I do
that's a
admit
whole nother
they-
level.
I'm going to say supposedly they're the only ones doing it.
Sure. I
They supposedly.
I have another wrench to throw into this conversation.
Oh, good.
So, and this is another angle of the Pete Rose discussion. So, Kevin, do you think someone like Curt Schilling belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Fuck Curt. The racist fuck.
Well, so Curt used steroids, right?
No, he was just a racist
He's just a
asshole.
bitch. Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you
Pretty sure.
Yeah, he didn't use steroid.
Not
I'm
not
pretty sure at least.
not that's been reported in any credible way.
Okay. Well, hold on. Did anyone look at this or not?
I
Go ahead.
feel confident in that statement.
I can't find him being caught with steroids at the very least.
That's what I'm saying. There's to my knowledge, there's no
Okay, that's
reports of
fair.
him.
No, I'm reading this. Wait a second.
What?
No, now I'm. Hold on. So he testified. Hold on.
No, he's openly an asshole, but nothing known.
I mean, you're asking if there should be a morality clause.
Yeah,
Like, I think
that's
clearly
what I'm
not.
getting at, because that's
You should-
also a factor with Pete Rose.
However, okay, so the slippery slope there is there are plenty of players in the Hall of Fame that are racist.
There are. The counter I've heard to
Heavily
that
racist.
though is, does that mean you maintain that standard going forward?
That's true.
It's also weird, like, what does the Hall of Fame even mean? Because, like, we have the building where pretty much everybody's somewhere represented in that building. And then there's, like, what we vote on. Like, have you guys been to Cooperstown?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
like, do they have
multiple times, yeah.
do they have a place, like, here are the Hall of Famers versus just,
Yes.
here are people we want you
Wait
to
a
know?
second,
Yeah.
Will, you've never been to the Hall of Fame?
No, or at
I'm
least not when I
surprised.
was
No
like
shit.
We got to go.
not when I've been old enough. Not when I've been old enough to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we gotta take it.
Yeah, so there's a main hall that has all the plaques. It's like a cathedral, like church space almost, like with the plaques on the wall, and then in the far back as well. And then they have an entire museum with like several floors and all sorts of memorabilia.
Did they do
The
like
plaques are the
'cause I-
coolest part, though. I will say
The what?
the plaques are the coolest part of the whole museum.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, by far. Yes. So actually, you bring up a good. So I guess another part to that is there's actually a lot of archives in the basement of Cooperstown Hall of Fame. There's plenty of stuff that is incredibly significant. I have a friend of mine who reads and researches about it and was looking into actually working for the Hall of Fame at one point. They got a whole bunch of archives in the basement. And the Hall of Fame is, I think, in the past been accused of holding out and not displaying some stuff that they should be.
I saw Kurt's bloody sock at one point, which I think
That might have been there.
he wanted it back because he bankrupted the state of Delaware or something. That was a whole thing.
He was afraid.
But
Oh.
it was there at one point.
But to go back to answer, I'm sorry, go ahead. But Will, you were going somewhere with the Hall of Fame. You were gonna say.
While you were looking that up for Curt Schilling, we were just talking about should there be a morality clause or not? Like, should we just be robots and just look at their contributions to baseball and only baseball? Or actually, that's probably too subjective too. So it has to just be like, were your numbers in your time legendary or not? And I kind of lean on that, like be more objective about it. Like I can talk about how you were a hated baseball player in the museum, but if despite being a horrible person, you were the best player of your era, that sounds like a Hall of Famer to me.
And I think I agree with that. Now, right, if you look at like O.J. Simpson, right, as an example, obviously a different sport, but O.J.'s in the Hall of Fame, right? And
I don't think he is.
Yes,
Is
he
OJ in the
is.
Hall of Fame? No
Yes,
kidding.
he is.
I missed that.
Yep, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I missed.
And yeah, he wasn't convicted with anything, right? But he's obviously, to me at least, right, killed 2 people, right? And I'm sure that historically, if you look in the archives, and I think Andrew, you would agree with me in that there are plenty of very bad people that were in the Hall of Fame from decades and decades
Oh,
ago,
sure.
right? Ty Cobb, right? The other guys who outrageously racist.
It was the early
And
1900s. You look to your left, you look to your right. One of them's got to be racist.
well, and the thing, well,
At least.
and the thing is how outwardly racist, right? And that's and not that, and I think that to Will's point here is you have to look at from an objectively baseball perspective. If we're going with that mentality, right? Again, just because someone is in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean they're a good person.
But is that what you would prefer? Like, if it were up to you, like, would
Yep,
you
the Hall of
prefer,
Fame starts today. What's your
Hall of
criteria?
Fame starts today.
or you can even go back in time and revise it? Do you say, to some degree, being in the hall, like, for the most part, encompasses your performance on the field, but your contributions to the sport and your character overall are contributing factors? Like, would that be your preferred Hall of Fame, or would you prefer it to be
I,
just purely
I'm
stats?
laughing. I'm laughing because I'm like, Kevin, are you racist? That's.
And
Well, you're a white
And
dude from the
answer the
middle of Newark, New
question.
York.
and
So,
I'm not saying, yeah, I'm just curious.
No, I got you. Well, so
Because I don't
so
think
I
there's
guess okay.
necessarily an
Let me
easy
back up.
answer.
So let me back up. I don't know what Schilling has done. I don't know in terms of how racist he is. I'm not familiar with him. All I know is I thought that he was a major person, that he was found with steroids. That was my impression. So I think it is to some it's varying degrees, right? How egregious is it?
Yeah, because then you get to the point where do you draw the line? And
Right.
that's not an easy answer, and that w- you know has and will change with time. But I do think it's something that, like, clearly matters, to voters. I think that's why, Schilling's
Oh,
vote total is
absolutely.
not as high as it is.
Absolutely. And I think that OJ, as an example, I think OJ was inducted before he was tried for murder, I think. I think that was the case.
Yeah, that could help.
So let's say if I'm not sure if that's true, but let's say he was actually convicted. What happens then?
If
Do they
OJ
revoke
was,
his Hall of Fame? No, yeah.
Well,
OJ got
I think
convicted. You think he gets, removed from the Hall of Fame after that fact, or he stays?
he gets banned from the sport. Like if Aaron Judge murders someone tomorrow, he gets a lifetime ban and therefore not
No,
eligible
that's not
for
what
the
I'm saying
Hall of
though.
Fame.
Let's say Kevin's right and OJ got elected to the Hall of Fame, right?
and he was, by the way,
And-
1985, he was elected to the Hall of Fame, and later he would kill his wife.
okay, so
So that is the scenario. So go on.
and then he kills his wife and actually gets convicted this time. What happens to his Hall of Fame nomination? Is it still there, or they retroactively take his Hall of Fame away?
Has that ever happened in baseball? Has anyone's
In
Hall?
baseball, I don't know about any sport that's ever
Yeah,
happened.
has that ever
Yeah.
been taken away? Because maybe that's the the other angle is, like, should should that be taken away? Should cases be revisited?
Well, I think if you well, that's true. Like if you're still a member of the league, like let's say you're a manager and like P Rose, and now as a manager you violate the code of the league and get banned, then I think that's clear. Like you get banned and therefore anything you had gets taken away,
Right. I mean, you're not getting
including
in
the
at that
Hall of
point,
Fame.
probably. Right.
But like for P Rose, I think like if P Rose had been inducted as a player and then gets caught gambling as a manager, then I think he should have been removed from the Hall of Fame then as part of being banned.
Yeah.
But the tricky part is that if you do something while you're not affiliated with the league at all, like you're just 80 years old in your hometown, not doing
stabbing
anything.
wives and shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
like
do you do?
now, like
As
I
one
didn't
does.
like imagine baseball claims that I violated their I don't work for you. I'm just a guy now. That's interesting.
I'm allowed to stab my wife if I want to.
Yeah. I mean, people get fired for jobs for things they do outside of the jobs.
But they're employed. I mean, that's weird because Hall of Fame is like that would be like
employee.
you're inducted to
it's the baseball
your
equivalent of
jobs
like
Hall of
employee of
Fame.
the year.
Yeah, no.
The real question is it really worth the capital, time, and money to remove everything? It's a cost
Just put
benefit
like
analysis. Is it
just
really
like
worth?
just put a curtain over it. Just block all that stuff.
Right. That's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I do think you remove them. I think morality wise, and it's not, and I don't see, I always hate the protect the shield at the NFL, protect the shield. I hate that. That is one of my least favorite sayings of all time because it's nonsense. But I do think there's something to be said for doing the right thing. If someone is inherently a bad person and they don't deserve that honor, you should not let them keep that honor.
Isn't being a bad person I agree with you, but for a group of thought, isn't being a bad person subjective though?
Well, that's where I said
Like-
that could easily
Well,
change over time.
Like
I
Curt
think-
Schilling is an asshole to all of us, I'm sure. But I'm sure someone in America, Curt Schilling is the model American, you know. So
I think if you kill someone, to me it's like, okay, if you do things that are like, I don't know, like child pornography, or you kill someone or stuff like that, stuff that really psychologically or emotionally hurts someone or physically, I think that's where damn, never mind.
I mean, we honor people who
Because
kill
then
people.
what happens when some guy beats up his girlfriend like Julio Urias? Julio will never be in the Hall of Fame now.
Poor Domingo Herman, who has a perfect
Yeah,
game to
right,
his name.
right. Yeah.
But him too, another domestic abuser.
Or Roberto Ozuna, or
Jose
Aroldis
Reyes.
Chapman, Aroldis Chapman.
Or what's this?
Well, he likes to
Wander-
grab his mom's boobs,
Wander
which is the whole
Franco.
other thing. But
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah,
Chapman.
Yeah, that's
What do you
we
He-
got no time
he's-
for that. We'll talk about it next podcast.
Wait, they call that a tease.
Look it up on your own team.
Wrap it up, Will. Where's our MC? Wrap it up.
Well,
There's video recording
actually-
that you can find it on the internet.
yeah,
just search that up on Pornhub. You'll find it.
this
Edit this part of the podcast out, Will.
we'll see. This conversation inspired me, and this is what I want the topic to end on here is, so we talked all about this, like what criteria for Hall of Fame. Another thing that would be criteria based is the MVP award. So let's hear it. So what do you think? Because right now there's no criteria. Like they just vote for who they like. So what do you want to matter for the MVP awards?
Ooh, can I go first on this one?
Go ahead.
All right, so I like to take, and this will never happen. So I saw about it's a popularity contest, right? But I like to take most valuable player, like as literal as possible. You know, who did the best considering their contract, right? Like per dollar basis, how much did you affect the league? I like to look at it that
You
way.
want war per dollar.
War
That's what
per
you
$1 billion.
Right. That's how I think a most valuable player should be. Because like, if you're on an albatross contract, you should be doing ridiculous shit. You know, I really look at like, all right,
So what you're
who is
saying is
actually the
Juan
most
Soto
valuable
would
player
not
on
be
the field?
that great this year.
No, I mean, I don't think not even MVP talk. He just hasn't been that great in general, right? Contract or not. That being said, he's hitting the ball fucking hard, so it's gonna work out for him eventually.
One of
but-
his swings.
Yeah, fuck you. You're not wrong. Anyway, So like, but that's what I look at. Like, who per dollar value is giving you the most output? And I think that really, to me, should be MVP. But I'm gonna be alone on that.
I
I know.
like that take. So I don't think I've ever liked a take from you more than that.
Oh, really? I thought you were gonna give me
Wow.
shit.
No, that I actually was impressed. I'm actually very impressed. That is a really good metric. But then, of course, then you wouldn't have the arguments over who should be MVP. So the media wouldn't like that.
Right. It's a popularity contest of media, which I don't like. But
Andrew, I want you to go next because I'm
I mean,
I'm gathering my thoughts.
I'm kind of boring here. Like you have sports like hockey where it's like if you're on a crappy team, like you have no chance of winning it. And thankfully, we're past those days in baseball. I mean, I think it's boring, but your wins above replacement has to be the biggest component of that. And then you can look at other intangibles as tiebreakers, but
Hang on, let me push you on that. So even if we're going by WAR, are you prepared to consider batter WAR and pitching WAR on the same scale?
um yeah, I mean that. So there's a couple things with that, right? Pitchers already have the Cy Young, so that's sort of a weird. Like they can win the MVP, but they usually never do, even if they do provide value. And obviously, pitcher WAR is not quite the same as hitter WAR. But I mean, it's still probably a solid approximation.
I know what you mean. People more often quote off O WAR than P WAR
Yeah.
when talking about people.
And I think defensive metrics, like the jury's still out on all of those, so there's certainly a level of subjectivity there.
So are you just gonna say pitchers are ineligible? If you have greater than 1 inning pitched, you're ineligible for the MVP.
No, well, I'd say I don't know. I wouldn't say ineligible just for your pitching. I wouldn't. Um, Kike Hernandez went off. Like I wouldn't disqualify him, for dicing the Yankees up. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the simplest answer
Well,
is
that-
just to have the MVP be a position player award and the Cy Young be the
That's
pitcher
kind of what I was
award and just
asking
be
you.
done with it.
Are you just gonna separate? You're gonna have a best pitcher award and best hitter award.
Yeah, I mean that's effectively what it is because there isn't um an equivalent Cy Young for hitting. It's just the MVP. So I think either
You don't love the Hank Aaron award.
everyone keeps up
Do you-
with that.
the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Do you by the way,
Sing, you monster.
does anyone here actually know what MLB calls the Hank Aaron award? Like what like the description of what it is?
Better
Like,
yet,
any
who
guesses
won
here?
it the last 3
Is it in
years?
most home runs? Is it in most
No.
home runs? Thought
It
was.
is not.
What
most
is it?
home
Well, I don't know myself. I knew it wasn't most home runs, moron.
Fuck you.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is.
No, wait,
You
before
dumbass.
it is, before you guess, before you tell me, Kevin, what the fuck do you think the Hank Aaron Award is?
I would have thought it something about most like character, like a character sort of
Yeah, wouldn't that be
award
the
myself.
Roberto Clemente award?
It's definitely not a fucking character award.
What is it, Will?
Yeah. All right. So by the way, that the Roberto Clemente award does quote
Yeah.
actually technically doesn't say character, it says player who best represents the game of baseball through extraordinary character. Oh no, character. All right, good job, Andrew. So yeah, extraordinary characters, Roberto Clemente. Hank Aaron Award. The Hank Aaron Award annually recognizes the best offensive performer in the league. in the American League and National League.
So I would say
simple as that.
that still isn't a best position player award because it's purely offensive.
Isn't Silver Slugger the batting award though for positions?
True.
That's also true. Yep, Silver Slugger is let's see what it says.
With a hanker and then include base running. So like Big Poppy would be
well,
ineligible.
you could
for
tell me
that,
if
but
any of these
Silver Slugger, he's all good.
You can tell me if these people sound like base runners. So in the American League, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Vlad Guerrero, Jose Abreu, Mike Trout, JD Martinez, Jose Altuve, David Ortiz, Josh Donaldson, and so on.
Hey, Ohtani got a 50-50. I'd give him the base runner award.
Yeah, but JD Martinez pulled a hammy tripping over second base, and that wasn't while running the bases.
Vladdy's better than me. So
that was just running out to play the outfield.
I watched when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was in at Double-A. I went to Binghamton to watch him. Actually, actually this will impress all of you. The main players in the game on both sides. I think it was New Hampshire. Because I think that was for Toronto, and Binghamton was for the Mets. The guys playing were Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso.
Nice.
And actually Tim Tebow was in the game.
Wow.
Yeah,
I forgot he played at Double-A. That's hilarious.
Yes, those were all guys in Double-A at the same time. I watched the same game. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit the ball to left center, hit off the wall. He tried to turn to a double, and he got thrown out at second. Not once, twice in the same game.
No way.
Wow.
Did he pimp it or just like he was running?
I think he was I didn't see what he was doing. I watched the ball. I'm like, he's going for two. He's out. Twice.
It's like,
twice in the same game. And also in the same game.
He wouldn't go for it again.
And also in the same game, I watched, you know how there's the net all the way down the third baseline? He took a ball and threw it as hard as he could. He threw it really hard at the net towards the fan as a joke, and it got caught in the net. The fan flinched.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
If it had gone through the net,
that was probably my favorite minor league game of all time I've ever seen.
So go ahead.
Yeah, go on. No, go ahead.
Well, I've got a fun question for you, Sho. Do you think you're faster than Bo Bichette?
Fuck no. He's actually pretty fast, isn't he?
You think you're faster than Vladdy?
I will. Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
So, according to Baseball Savant, in 2025, on the Blue Jays, Vladdy's sprint speed is in feet per second is 26.8, whereas Bo Bichette's is showing up as 26.2.
Yes.
Wow. But both slow, huh?
Vladdy's is seemingly faster than you think.
Is that what it is?
What he wants to be.
I feel like he's sneaky.
He's like Juan Soto right now in the box.
What's his name? Jose Ramirez. Like you wouldn't think, but he's
okay.
He steals bases.
How about this, Andrew? Are you faster than Giancarlo Stanton?
Mate, well, right now probably because I think he's like probably still in crutches or whatever he broke.
All right. Say last year at this point. Say last year at this point where he's
still beat him out there.
Well, it depends on how long the sprint is because he'll probably break down before you get there.
From home to first.
I mean, he's still a professional athlete, and I'm not fast.
Correct. I don't think that any of us can outrun 99.8% of Major League Baseball players.
They practice a lot.
Yeah, well, see, but the thing is, practice. It's a straight line. We got this. Giancarlo Stanton, even in the most important games of the season,
just go straight. 26.2. Any questions?
In the most important games of the year, Giancarlo Stanton is just appalling. His as you watch him running from home to first, it's a hair above a walk, but we accepted it because legitimately it seems like that's all he can do. Like if he tries to kick it into any gear,
He's
he
like
will
Royce
be injured
Lewis.
immediately. Yeah, Royce, I don't know what happens. He just injured every year. I don't know. I don't understand. Not that I understand Stanton either. I mean, this year he got a tennis elbow in both his elbows somehow in the off season,
As a
and,
DH.
he's still not bad. I mean, but it's the off season. He's not even here. What's he doing? So who knows? But yeah. So I just wanted to point out Hank Aaron Award. So it does exist, but just no one talks about it ever. That's supposed to be the
Okay,
offensive player
now,
of the
but
year.
I want before I go, Will, why
Okay.
don't you go next?
I actually am closer to Andrew. Although your idea tempted me, but yeah, I think it should. I think well, actually, you know what? Okay, I have a new idea. I would like to rename the Hank Aaron Award. Sorry, Hank Aaron. It's just gonna be the Offensive Player of the Year award now. So strip his name off of it so that people care about it again.
Oh,
And
damn.
Like in
then
football.
The
and
home
then-
run
Wow,
king. You're
this
taking his
this
name
is
off.
some Trump DEI bullshit you're pulling here, Will.
because
we had to do what had to be done for the good of the sport.
because people are too stupid to know
then-
what it means. Yeah.
And then we can keep the MVP award, but now you can actually put some fun subjective like stuff into it. So now you can say like who impacted a player the most on their road to probably you would say the playoffs, because in theory you're supposed to vote on this before the playoffs. You can actually look up not win probability added, but it's like championship probability added. I think it's its own category. So you can just like store 5 players and then it could be pitchers or hitters. You could decide to give it to CC Sabathia when he gets traded to the Brewers if you want to. So I'm going to. That's what I'm good. I'm renaming the Hank Aaron Award into the Offensive Player of the Year award, and say to get rid of Cy Young too. Sorry, even though people do respect that, but just to keep it fair, that'll be the Pitcher of the Year award, and then the Most Valuable Player gets to be some fun, subjective talk show stuff. It'll be great.
So
So
go ahead, Show. What were you gonna say?
I still understand your definition of the MVP, but fair enough.
Well,
Will?
so I'm removing its definition entirely. Now it's actually
Okay.
just gonna be subjective on purpose now.
I
So
see.
then
Gotcha.
someone who like me who wants the objective stuff, I get to enjoy my Offensive Player of the Year award and my pitching. In fact, you know what? And I can have a Pitching Player of the Year award, and I can have my Defensive Player of the Year award, and I don't know what would go into it, but my Base Running Player of the Year award. I can have all those, and then the fun one that's all subjective, no criteria, gets to be MVP.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I can't let this go. Stan
Damn it, Andrew.
was 4th percentile in base running value in 2024.
So it was one.
Yeah, I don't know, but his sprint speed was 24.6 feet per second. Which guess how many miles per hour that corresponds to?
I have no idea.
Imperial metrics.
16.7.
How much was
Or
it?
actually 16.8 miles per hour.
That beat the hell out of all of us.
I think maybe. I don't know.
It would be
Faster than
close
mine anymore.
at best. Like,
Fair enough.
I think we're not topping out much more than 15. Would be my guess.
That's right. To my point, I think what people don't realize is how impressive these athletes are.
Well, yeah, they are genetically better
Well,
than
they
all of us.
also work out every day.
That too. That's
Yeah.
part of their job is to be
No,
an
right.
athlete.
I said at a desk.
Right.
I know, right?
So I guess to me with MVP, I like shows a lot. I really do. I never thought of the money perspective. Surprisingly enough, 'cause I think
It's as literal as you can get. Most valuable,
yeah.
Like,
I think, and I'm one of those people that hates when you spend a whole bunch of money on players, right? So that should have been one of the main things that came to my mind. But I also think that there is a a leadership perspective to it that WAR doesn't really show, right?
I agree with that.
And I think the other part is just because and right, so Trout, so if you think about Trout, right? Let's say Trout had an incredible season like he has the potential to do, as an example, right? 3 or 4 years ago. He's on the Angels, and the Angels still don't make the playoffs. Do you really want him as the MVP? I'm not saying that nothing to take away from him, right? But there's something to be said for not even making the playoffs, right? Not even being close to being in the championship. That I think takes away, and I think that there's something to be said for not getting there. Now, he can't fix an organization.
Hold up. If you are if you're the Angels and you have Trout and Ohtani at their prime and still not be able to do shit, is that really
You could stick
Trout's
both of
fault?
them on the Rockies, and they're at best making it to like 3rd place.
I think, but I see what you
However,
mean. But
yeah, but so here's my counter though. Okay, if you look at some of the greatest players of all time, or generally the greatest, right? So Brady, as an example, Brady was smart. He took a pay cut every year purposefully, right? And he was
okay,
very clear about it. And let me finish. He was very clear about who he wanted on his team.
he can, but
And
he's the only person in fucking NFL history that can do that because his wife is richer than him. He does. Well, his ex-wife.
that's not accurate. That is not an accurate statement at all.
His ex-wife has more money than him. What are
Well,
you talking
take the
about?
money out of it.
No,
Football is totally different from baseball, especially when you're talking about the quarterback. It's completely different.
Well, okay, let's back up. To answer Show's question, I'm telling the Show it has nothing to do. He has plenty of money to suffice for generations and generations. With Giselle or not.
But he's
With Giselle or not.
he's not
Okay. No,
because
no,
no one
I will
else
fight you
can.
back on that.
Well, no one else can be like, money isn't my primary thing for my employment because my wife makes more than I do. I do not care.
Wrong.
Of course. No, 100%. If Giselle and Brady were never together, he would never take a pay cut. Because it's not just bad for his future
How much
wealth,
does Shohei's
but
wife
also
make,
bad
Joe?
for what?
How much does Shohei's wife make?
It's like fucking probably he's a professional basketball player in Japan, so probably like $2 a day.
Oh,
Exactly.
and so
So I vehemently disagree. And the reason why I disagree is he was smart enough to realize that if he won, the money would come anyway.
No, that's not true. You can say that's the same thing about Shohei. He makes more endorsements than he does in payroll. But he's still going to take he's still take a ridiculous
I mean, his
contract.
salary.
Well, that's my point.
His salary is
Now,
technically $2 million, and in terms of the value he's generating, it's frankly probably a discount for the Dodgers.
And going back to Andrew's point about being different sports, you're absolutely right. It's different sports, and the point about the salary cap. However, when you make that much money, you should be able to throw your weight around about having the right people around.
Sure, but I think
He
you're
never did that.
evaluating a
They
different
never-
position
Hold up,
because
hold up. That's also bullshit because, let's be honest, the NFL salary cap is a goddamn myth. You can keep adding void years to get whoever the fuck you want at the end of the day, right?
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Look at the Saints. They are like 300 million over the cap, and have nothing to show for it. But they just keep seeing it, signing old ass players for ridiculous contracts. That's what they do. The cap is a myth.
cap aside,
It's really.
I think at that when you're talking about that, like I think it's a valid criticism of Trout, but I think then that goes beyond what the MVP should represent. Like Wayne Gretzky, best hockey player of all time, one of the best, however you want to put it. Awful coach. That just because you're a shit coach doesn't mean like that's any indictment on who he was as a player. And someone like Mike Trout, like he's not even the GM, he's a player, So, but even if he was, like, I don't think that's, I wouldn't view that as
Do
an
you think
indictment.
Trout's a good leader?
I think that could be a potential criticism. Um, but
Don't you think? And you disagree with me that leadership was a key at that. How do you know? How do you know someone's showing leadership?
well, Shohei won with the Angels or the Dodgers first when he got there and couldn't do it with the Angels. Did he magically gain leadership abilities? No, the Dodgers are just a
No,
better organization.
Agreed.
I think if you stuck Trout,
because they were smart enough to find leaders for that organization.
if you picked up Trout and put him on the Dodgers, he's getting a ring.
No, yes, he is because even though he's not going to play at all.
100% he's getting a ring.
So does that mean he's all of
Well,
a sudden MVP caliber? No.
He's definitely playing above Conforto, let's be honest. He's gonna touch the field.
well, hang on. Let's Kevin. Let's land a shift here though. So you're talking leadership. So, is that are you proposing that's your primary criteria for the MVP award?
I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of what Show had said, how much money, right? And Show, it goes back to your point. If you take less money, you have a higher WAR per amount of money you're taking.
I agree with the leadership. I think that absolutely has to factor. The question becomes, how do you measure that? And that's difficult.
Right, and I think that's
where a lot of
I
subjectivity
don't
comes
know
in.
that, and I'm not convinced that that's something where you don't run a poll.
But I will say the
as an
money.
example, like a
Fan
players
voting
poll.
is the worst metric of all time.
Players poll? Well, no,
No,
I think a players poll is the right way to do it because they have the inside knowledge on it.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with it contributing partially to it.
Players poll's hard too, because how do you know who the leader is on a different
Tyrese
ballpark?
Halliburton. You know why Tyrese Halliburton in basketball is the most overrated player voted by players? Because they hate him. They hate his guts. Everyone hates his guts.
I will say that your idea probably.
Didn't everyone hate Jordan's guts playing though? And no one's gonna deny him.
No, absolutely not. They respected them. They don't respect Tyrese Halliburton.
I wouldn't.
I like the idea that a players poll would hold someone back from being at the very least, like someone. If there's a poll of like most overrated, you could prevent someone who is a horrible leader from being in the conversation.
Right.
I wouldn't be opposed to it being like, say, 20% of it. Because like I do agree that like there's some writers who don't know jack and don't even watch the games.
Definitely.
So like I wouldn't be opposed to saying like, okay, 75% of it like comprises these votes, 20% is player votes, and then maybe you could take early fan votes. But I wouldn't be opposed to something like that.
Is that a good enough answer?
Get fan votes out, and I agree more.
I don't. I think
the dumbest shit of all time.
Yes, fans are incompetent. Forget the fans. That's the popularity contest. But the
especially
guys that are in the locker room, no.
Yeah, especially because now in 2025, you actually could get like so many millions of fan votes, which I think is a bad thing because then you get the cesspool of Twitter all voting. At least like in year 2000, you had to like go to a game to get the piece of paper. Yeah, so no fan voting. In fact, actually, okay. Last thing. All-Star game, I'm actually okay because like if it's a show for the fans, I like to be able to vote for that. So
God, I hate the All-Star game, but that's a whole other thing.
Okay, Grandpa.
Next time on the podcast, how do we fix All-Star Week?
Just make it all home run
But all
derby.
right, let's.
Land the plane, Will. Land the plane.
Thank you both. Thank you, Show. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a ride. Actually, so like in all seriousness, a couple of future topics. So for the audience to tease, I would like to talk about All-Star Week. I also want to talk about just MLB ballparks. Like, what do people like about ballparks? Like, similar to just making a ranking, but like if you were building your hypothetical best ballpark, what would it be like? So I want to talk about that.
Histros
And-
everywhere.
And, and I want to talk about the how to fix the playoffs too. Like design your favorite playoff structure. So if either of you want to come back for any of those conversations, let me know, and we'll have a nice powwow.
Yes, no, I look forward to it. And Will, you really should install a mute all button in here if it's not already in here. Or a mute show button. That'd probably work too.
The deed is done. But all right, folks, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Join us next week, and until we speak again, ciao.
Legends are born, fighting battles, our jerseys worn.